By the second, the clock ticks and, of course, builds up the minute, and then really build up the hour too, and that makes the day, the week, the months, and then, of course, the years. Along these extremes of time and space, the human being finds himself with a lot to do in terms of activities and the rest of them. One thing about time is that it moves fast. To others, 24 hours is more or less like a burden. To some, life goes on. It's easy, so it's normal 24 hours per day. But for most people, 24 hours seem to be not really enough. Unfortunately, that's the bad news. You can't have much more than that. But the good news is that no matter how speedy it goes, the time we're talking about, no matter how fast it goes, you are the pilot. You decide on what to do with the time you have. So between time and space and the activities in between, you apportion each to its own time and then get the bountiful harvest out of it. Welcome to Reflections. I am Yusuf Dadabu Usman. Every week on this program, we look at these two issues, time and space, and indeed the activities in between, and then see how our personality fit into this. How did they make the mark in life? This week. My personality is a teacher, an administrator, an ambassador, and of course he is a father. He is the 82-year-old Ambassador Ibrahim Yerima Abdullahi. Welcome to Reflections, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Congratulations for a start. When I first came in, I didn't see somebody at 82 really. I saw somebody at 70, 75 or thereabout. Any secrets?
You are flattering me, but there's no secret. Life lives the way you want it. Not the point is that you have got a limited time on earth. You have been born. You need to do something about your own life, what you can do to improve your own life and the life of your community. Mm-hmm. And in between, you find yourselves, you should be always very busy. Mm-hmm. You don't allow a dull moment for yourself, because there will be a loss, not only to you, but to your community, to your society, to your country. I enjoy thinking of what to do next. I may be able to do all the things I think of. And of course, in 80 years, I reflect back and see a lot of things that I ought to have done, but no regrets at all about what I have managed to do. I think I reflect back and feel satisfied and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my creator, for giving me this life and give me the opportunities I had to contribute.
That's one fundamental thing about getting to this age, having that contentment, which is very important. But some of your colleagues, some people of which attain this age, might have been doing something extraordinary or extra out of this. For instance, having to, be exercising a lot, and then having to, guard against certain things to eat and certain things not to eat, and then, having to, be happy no matter what. Are these part of your secrets?
I'm not sure about secrets of my life, but certainly there are certain fundamentals that they helped me in enjoying my life. First of all, let me go back to the beginning. I was born here in Gombe around 1939. My calculation is that October 1939.
Okay.
My calculations.
Right.
Because my parents didn't write our dates of birth. But my mother told me I was born on a Monday.
Wow.
And my elder brother, one of them, started working, was sent to a place called Duku, his first work. And one of my elder sisters, who was then not married, was sent to him in Duku. And it was then she told him and his family that my mother had given birth to me. All of them, unfortunately, have died now.
With their souls were simple.
So we calculated with the same elder brother. He found he started working in Duku in 1939, around April. And by the time I was born, he was already settled down in Malala, many places. We calculated and concluded that I was born in October. So there are 4 Mondays on October. My mother told me I was born on a Monday. I don't know which one of the Mondays. But we calculated and we decided that I was born on the 1st of October.
What was growing up then like?
Well, it is a combination of the good and the bad, let me say. The good, you are lucky to grow up in a large polygamous family with many wives and many relatives. When I was growing up, there are about 50 people, human beings, within our compound. 50 because there were about 9 different rooms for accommodating human people, and each had I would say an average of 5 people. That's 45. That's why I said 50, because in some places there are more than 5. Life went on according to us normal. When one grows up, you find that there are some abnormalities. But growing up, I think you are lucky to be born in a place where you can have breakfast, sometimes lunch, and then dinner, which was not continuous, which was not obvious. But I think I consider myself lucky to have been born in that kind of society. I still wondered how on earth did the old man provide this. Now that I've gone through, that's right.
Yeah.
But I also remember, as I was growing up, that every day when the women finish cooking, they will allocate it on akwashi. Akwashi is a wooden plate. And every day, these will be brought out in front for my father to distribute. And not to distribute to those, not to distribute those who are inside. No, to those outsiders. These outsiders, I recall, included the remaining wives of late Emir Umaru of Gombe, the one who established this Gombe town. Because my father grew up in his place. The late Emir's children, particularly women, these are mothers of his own friends, my father's friends. And then there will always be visitors or strangers from other places, and they will take this Akema tour. And every day I remember at least 30 Akwashi will be sent. This one to Adda so and so, that one to Gogo so and so, this one to Malam so and so.
That's in addition to what he does within the family.
Within the family inside.
Wow.
And it is when I grew up that I have started reflecting, how on earth did he do it? Well, God has enabled him to do, and God has blessed him.
And should I ask you this? How wealthy was he?
He was not wealthy. First of all, during their time, first of all, they didn't come by money. Most of the farming they do on their own. And also, they don't buy or sell. It's, things by barter. Trade by barter they do. Yes. What I'm talking about, around the time I was growing up, there was only one primary school. And they didn't call it primary school, they used to call it elementary school. And the discussion, the teaching was all in Hausa. That was also a big problem, because a lot of the kids didn't speak Hausa. In fact, we started learning Hausa when we went to the primary school here. You know, in Gombe we have a lot of tribes. We have about 18 different tribes in Gombe. And since this is the capital, everybody reflected here. So the Hausa language took precedence. And at the time I went to middle school Bauchi, there were no secondary schools in the whole of in fact, in the whole of northern Nigeria. By 1952, 53, there were 6 secondary schools.
In the whole lot of the north?
The whole of northern 19 northern states. But in each case, to go there was not easy. And of course, the interaction between peoples was not so as constant as it is. So, it's a very courageous person, father or his mother, would allow you to be taken to a place like Zaria from Gombe. So, trepidations when they are taking you to that place.
Briefly, I'm just getting amazed about this history. Briefly, tell me about your father. Was he educated in the Western sense of it or in the Islamic sense of it? Because then it's only sons and daughters of either the ANS or the chiefs that attend schools per se, and maybe those that were working with the whites at that time and things like that. How did you manage to get educated?
Into
Western education per se, having to do primary school,
as I told you, I was born here in Gombe. And my elder brothers, some of them are much older than me, were among the first children picked to be put into the elementary school.
Why? How are they picked?
If the Oyibo comes to open the school, Oyibo, of course, in Nigeria, we all know who Oyibo is.
Yeah, the white man.
Right. He was in charge of administration. He would start open the school. He will tell the leaders of the place, the emir, and the other bring children. And that's how children were taken.
And there were resistance then in some families.
In some families they didn't. I know. In fact, one of my cousins refused to send his children to school. I know. But my father did not resist. He did not resist because some of my elder brothers went to school. In fact, that's the Western education.
Right.
The Islamic education I started at home.
All let's just fast forward it a little bit. You've got educated, you got a job, and you started working with the white people. And then you went around places as divisional officer or senior divisional officer from then, and then you graduated into becoming a permanent secretary. These are opportunities and adventures that took you around almost most parts of the northeast and the northwest and
Northern Nigeria.
northern Nigeria generally. Now, what fond memories can you remember and then tell us to the benefit of our viewers?
Wallahi, there are so many. First of all, may God bless the leaders of Northern Nigeria.
Amen. Amen.
Because wherever you are posted to, you are sent to in the north, you have a reflection of Northern Nigeria. If you are sent to Ilorin, for example, which is like a Yoruba place, you find the Kanuris, the Hausas, the Fulanis, the Tera, all other in Ilorin.
Then?
Then.
Right.
This is how the civil service ran. When the Sardanas took over, they ensured that the North remained the North for the Northerners. And wherever you are posted to, I know when I was posted to a place like Biu or Bama in Borno, there will always be somebody from Ilorin. There will be always somebody from Sokoto. There will always be somebody from present-day Kogi, Igala, and so on. So you are made to make friends and feel you are all Northerners. And that's very essential. It has helped because even up to today, most of us, I wouldn't say all, but most of us are happy to be Northerners. Yes.
So that is one. That northerners, northerness.
Northerness feeling.
Northerness feeling of the year.
That's
what other thing can you remember?
Well, the effort to improve the lot with the mega resources available. For example, I thought a third road for the first time when I went to Bauchi. And that happened to be by accident because Bauchi happened to be where it was because it is on its way to Borno and the Chad Republic. So it is the main road from Jos to Bauchi to Borno. That was the first third road I had seen. And later on other roads came. And I also saw electricity for the first time again in Jos. When I went to Jos, when I was going to Zaria for the first time, we went to go to Jos. And for the first time I saw electricity. But you see these things, and then of course you get school, and then your mind starts reflecting, how can you get these things in your own place? How can I get electricity in Gombe? How can I get this and that in Gombe? And the way somebody from Omaran in Kwara, or somebody from Degree here, all over. So you hear about them. In Jos, it's a bit different because it was the mining industry. And it's a center where foreigners live. And they, of course, brought electricity and all the good things of life.
When we look at the native authority system there, and look at you as somebody working there, and place it side by side with what you said, that you had very little resources then, and a lot is being achieved, even the fact that roads were constructed, sometimes schools were even established and things like that, and put it across today, and then see the kind of population we have and the kind of schools we have. How much more transparent were you than us?
You see, accountability, there is, first of all, the resources, and then accountability. The resources were mainly haraji and what they call haraji and jangali, tax, and the cattle tax. It was a continuous effort by the district heads and the village heads, who must always collect and bring to the emir. The emir mainly the signatory to the account. There was no bank, so they have a strong room here. And it was the emir and the treasurer and the GO who were in charge of the strong room. Nobody opens that one.
They were the ones with the keys.
With the keys.
All right.
They ensured that at least the salaries in those days, as small as they were, at least they were paid regularly. The resources were collected with a great effort, but collected and accounted for. What I noticed in those days, but if you dip your fingers in, you get your fingers burnt. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You are prosecuted, that's what you mean?
You are sent to jail, yes.
Right.
Prosecuted and sent to jail.
Okay.
But since there are not too many people who can do the Oyibo work, you sent to jail, they bring you, they don't want to destroy you completely. They give you some menial job. They'll give you something to eat with, but not your ambition will have to be brought down. So it is not the resources, the funds may be mega, but certainly the usage was extremely efficient.
Against the background of this explanation you made, that was a time when there was nothing like EFCC, there was nothing like ICPC, all these anti-corruption agencies and the rest of them were not there. But things were moving smoothly, relatively, because there wasn't so much of embezzlement then, because of the structures and the rules that were put in place. Here we are today, with all the money you can think of, because there is a lot of resources in this country, and then with all the agencies we have to fight corruption, it still thrives. It thrives so much, and that is why I think Buhari, when he came on board, said he's going to fight corruption to the latter. If not, corruption will kill us in Nigeria. And he started doing that. What's your take on this, vis-a-vis your experience as a civil servant then in the 50s and the 60s, and a watcher, an elder statesman now?
Alert. Because the EFCCs of this world, ICPCs of this world, and all other similar organizations were all performing the duties of the police. And in many cases, the native authority police under the emir. Because the emir spared nobody. But now, a lot of people are spared. And when you do something wrong, you don't go home and sleep. They won't allow you to sleep. You have to be responsible for your actions. And people were made to take responsibility for their own actions. Now, nobody cares. Unfortunately, I am a conservative in this case. I believe that if you touch one kobo of public affairs, you have to be punished, or you have to account for these things. And I also have noticed, I was asking somebody recently, that if you think it is profitable to be chopping, if I may use the term, chopping public funds, it is illegal and the criminal money. It can't be profitable. God has got his own way of making illegal funds disappear. But we don't want to allow this God to do it. God has appointed us human beings as his agents. on earth. And that's why he gave us the Quran, and he gave us all the laws. They are there for us to practice. He didn't create the native authority in those days. The government didn't create any laws. In fact, the penal code of northern Nigeria was not created. It was made because it reflected mainly our Islamic and non-Islamic practices, which were incorporated in the penal code. So when we go on creating laws, we know we don't have the patience to implement them. And this is what we lacked in this, what we call modern age. We are very much in going to parliament to pass a law and so on and so forth. From the day it is passed, the senators take their allowances, the legislators take their allowances, that's all. But the matter dies there. God is a very just ruler. He does not allow illegalities and unjust behaviors. By His Majesty, we live. He has given us guidelines as what to do. If we do, we will have some peace. If we don't, we will be deceiving ourselves, and we will never have peace.
You're watching Reflections reaching you from the Nigerian Television Authority, and I am Yusuf Nadabusman. I'm discussing with Ambassador Ibrahim Yerima Abdullahi, and then we're talking a lot about his life story and indeed some national issues. I want to stay back for more on this program. Welcome back. Before we went on break, I was just trying to, see how I can connect. You mentioned the relevance and the importance of the traditional rulers then, and how important they were in the society. They were more or less like at the top, and then trying to direct and be guiding the citizens and guide them. Today, we have that as such. The traditional rulers are there, and when we look at the issue of corruption, which you explained explicitly, and then look at the issue of security too, because then they secure the society through the native police. The issue of security has become so much a problem in this country at the moment, there's no doubt about that. Insurgency from the Northeast Enclave has now spread to the Northwest, and then to other parts of this country, banditry, kidnapping, and the rest of them. And you find that people are really complaining about security being a very primary focus of government, and which people are not really enjoying it so much. You that has gone around these places, you were in the Southwest, you were in the Northeast, and you are still in the Northeast, you've seen the parts of Nigeria and even outside. What's your comment about the prevailing insecurity or prevailing security situation in Nigeria?
The insecurity in the criminal activities are mainly products of lack of sincerity in managing our resources, ourselves. You started mentioning the emirs. I have to talk about the emirs because this is the one I know very much. However powerful the emir, there was no more powerful a person than the emir in those days, even during the colonial days. And among all of them, there was nobody more powerful than the Sultan of Sokoto or the Sheikh of Borno. But I know, as Sultan of Sokoto was dethroned and exiled to Wukari, and you know Wukari is not part of his empire. Sultan, he died there. There was nobody who was above the law in those days. But now, who are the law? The laws now are the assemblies, senators and House of Reps. Then those who enjoy immunity, the governors,
Okay.
the emirs, when they were in charge, they didn't enjoy no immunity. But we are now told that the governors, you can't prosecute a governor or the president. And that's why our number one problem. But I think we have made a fundamental mistake. I was there when in one of the conferences,
Constitutional conference.
constitutional conference, when this issue of immunity was
I was
debated.
about to ask you that. I said, were you part of this
I was.
developments? Really?
I was. It still pains me the way our own side was defeated
Okay.
to
Which
impose.
was your side?
We were against immunity.
All right.
We opposed immunity.
Were you not plenty then? Was it not the democracy at that conference? I don't know which one specifically.
It is the present-day Nigerian democracy. Because when the members who vote are being under some remote control, this is where you end up. You end up with this immunity. And this immunity is killing Nigeria. All the other issues of immunity and insecurity has to be reflected, had to do with this issue of immunity, because there are people who are who can't be prosecuted, and you are a human being. You are put in charge of a human activity, and you are not accountable to anybody. How can you? So if you are elected now as a governor, for 4 years nobody can prosecute you.
Yeah. Is that the reason why we are at the moment?
Well, it's partly. Okay. There are many other things.
All right.
Any other reasons.
The Buhari 1983 through to the time he was toppled in 1984, 85. And then the Buhari in 1999, I mean in 2015 to 2019 and to date. You've been close to him. You've known him much. What would you say? Are they the same person?
Well, the same person, but not ruled by the same factors.
Okay.
When we first came, he was a general, and we know what a general is in the military formation. It was in spite of that power that he had that he and his colleagues, who are members of the Supreme Council or members of the Executive Council, but they still allowed a lot of reflections and participation and the freedom to express opinions. And he never dictated. I can't recall any time either himself or Tunde Diabo who ever dictated. In fact, it was the military, their uniform, all right. But it is now, they are supposed to be in a democratic dispensation. And they were supposed to be elected. But what I noticed in the National Assembly, no.
Did they hamper Buhari, for instance, from becoming the Buhari you used to know in 1983?
Well, I wouldn't blame it on them alone.
Right.
He will also have to take part of the responsibility.
All right.
Because he was also elected.
Yeah.
And he was elected because in the past, his past record in the military, people expected that he will display the same qualities. But somehow he doesn't do so now. And so himself and his senators, they're not the best of friends, but certainly they are closer. That's what is happening now. They are closer.
At least now, unlike between
I think
2015 and 2019.
Right. So I must say that it is very, very unfortunate.
All right.
That issue of accountability and sense of responsibility, of leadership. Because leadership is not so easy, but we fight to become leaders. Whoever said leadership is enjoyable has not led very well. If you do the job of a leader properly, wallahi, you like to run away.
So virtually you're saying that leadership is not a luxury tour.
It is not a luxury tour at all.
Right.
And you don't have yourself elected as a governor or as a senator just to go and make money. For me, if I like money, all right. I think all of us like money.
Yeah.
But I know, I come from Gombe. We produce a lot of grains, agricultural I'll be selling these things. I will go to the Tiv land, Munchi land, to buy yams to bring to Gombe. I'll make my profit. I will take beans to take to the Igbo land, where they don't have. From Gombe, we grow a lot of beans. In the process, I can make a lot of money.
Coming back,
But when you touch you start taking public funds appropriate to yourself, thinking that it is now yourself, you will create a big problem for yourself. Wallahi, you will never go in peace. I have seen this, I've studied this, I've seen various individuals who are supposed to have taken public funds, but you find their end was not very, very smooth. And I will advise people to be very wary of taking something which is not. I am talking about illegal funds, and we all know what is illegal.
Yeah, sure.
But if you are a government, you are a governor, they say the state government will feed you and your family, go ahead. This is quite legal.
Okay. Briefly, can you tell us what needs to be done if you connect it to education?
The correct thing is, we are human beings, so we'll always do something wrong. Many of us will continue committing crimes, taking the wrong steps, doing the wrong things. What we should do is to force people to make the wrong thing. If somebody misappropriates public funds, he'll be accountable for it, and accountable for everything that he has taken. And even in the modern Western kind of style, not the Islamic one, if you send people to jail, but now we are very shy about going to jail. Why? The prisons they now call them correctional centers. But I think they should be properly used. A lot of us, I see, are potential prisoners. They should go there.
Okay, you're just talking about deterring people now.
Yes.
Through enforcing the law. Those who commit crime are punished so that people don't see it as a jolly welfare.
If you don't show people, you don't show the world that this man has done something bad, you are encouraging him to do it more. Right. And we're also encouraging his friends to copy him. Okay. And that's how we ended up where we are now. I think the laws, however poor they are, but they are there. And they are also in charge of, they are supposed to clear criminal activities, remedy criminal activities. Okay. I think we should try to do that. Okay. You take this year, 2021, how many top people have been sent to jail, including those former governors that EFCC boasts and ICP boasts of convicting. But there are many others who have not been convicted. And I think we can improve.
Have we really learned lessons from the Civil War in view of the fact that presently there are agitations from some quarters or various quarters to restructure this country, to secede from this country, to demand this from the center and the rest of them. What's your view about this agitation for restructuring or secession or whatever that is trying to bring about some programs? Have we really learned lessons from the Civil War?
We have not. And I'm telling you, and the main people who have not learned, let me say it, is you people,
We, who?
the journalists.
Right.
Look at the mass media, particularly some of the television houses, particularly in the newspapers, were to the right headlines, were to as if nobody is in charge of Nigeria. Maybe because they don't like the person who is now in charge, his face or not. But these things, they do reflect opinions. And you know, you journalists are also human beings.
Yeah.
So when you write an article, your feelings are reflected. But you, as a responsible journalist, if you are even expressing or writing an opinion, you will know how to express it so that many people who read it will respect you and also respect what we are heading for, the country. But unfortunately, many of the journalists write as if Nigeria can go to hell today. And I think this is wrong. Just reflect on the newspapers. And you know, some of them are very insensitive. Look at their editorial policies. Wallahi, there is a paper that I have made myself happy to read all the time, and is always critical of the North. I like it because their criticisms is good, positive criticisms, not destructive criticisms. They are not Northerners, but certainly they criticize everything that people in the North do. And constructively. But in some cases, no. So this is why I say some of you,
We accept that. With all honor and respect, we do that. As big as Nigeria is, are we better off as Nigeria?
We certainly are best in Nigerians. God is God's own creation. Nigeria was not created by anybody but God himself. In every part of the country, if you go to every corner of this in northern Nigeria, you find the Igbo man. And he's not among the poor people there. He will be among the wealthy. Because the Igbo man is very, very hard working.
Very enterprising.
Very, very enterprising. So he doesn't like poverty. And you go to the west, you find the Hausa man always looking for goro. He will take it up north. And you find the Yoruba man settled down in Gombe Abba. He become an Indian in Gombe here. If you tell him he's a Yoruba, you are reminding him. He has even forgotten. All these have put us together. And let's not just, we have to be proud of ourselves. Not just when our Green Eagles win, no. It is a lot of things that we should be proud of this country. I mean, our voice is highly respected. If not, how come will the Americans listen to us? And they do listen to us. How come will the British and the West listen to us? And they are listening to us. How come will Russia listen to us? They are listening to us. How come will China listen to us? Everybody who is somebody in this world, they respect us. How do you demote yourself? How do we demote ourselves to be something else? Biafra? or Ududua, you can't be in Nigeria. So
So that's a demotion, really.
it is a demotion.
Fine. Sarkin Bai. That's the title.
Yes.
I really want to hear a little bit about that. You are the first in Gombe.
Yes.
How did you become the first?
Thank you very much. Is a reflection of my young political observations. Whenever the parliament met, the action group was in the opposition. The NCNC and the NPC formed the central government.
You're taking us down history lane. Which year was that?
Yeah, well, first of all, before independence,
Right.
and immediately after independence. But the leader of the house was one taken by Okano, Mukhtar Adnan. The man was so articulate. In spite of all the group of lawyers in the Professor Death Action Group will bring, whenever they bring an issue, this man will oppose them and tell them a different opinion, and in many cases, his opinion carries the day. He was actively, he actually kept them at bay all the time. And I've never met him, but I used to see him on television or on radio. And I gradually started admiring him. And I thought that he was an amazing person. And when I was encouraged to take a title here, in Gombe here, I know all the titles here. I know my father's title is different. But in any case, my father was then alive. I couldn't take away his...
What is your father's title?
Ajia.
All right.
Yes. So, I admired Sarkimbai Adnan of Kano, of Lambata. He was the district head of Lambata. He was one of those people whom I admired very much. And it reflected on me. And I decided to adopt his title. I went to Lambata to tell him. Yes, I went.
Okay, you met him?
I met him.
Right.
I met him. Of course, he was elderly.
Yeah. In which year were you given the Sarkimbai?
It was in the early 80s.
Okay. We cannot end this program without talking about your ambassadorial posting. You were in Malaysia, Brunei, and you came back.
Well, first of all, I tried to be a governor of Gombe State.
Okay.
I couldn't.
Right.
The government appointed me, the federal government appointed me an ambassador. And they sent me to Malaysia, a country I only heard of, I've never seen. Well, I was happy because I found a way of a holiday, a rest. I didn't know I didn't know ambassador's job until I came into it. So I found that I was taken to Malaysia, and my assignments then reflected the two countries, Malaysia and Brunei. Historically, they have very deep connections. They speak the same language, socially and so on and so forth. Brunei is a small country, but have built up a lot of resources. They literally live on oil. They have more oil than Saudi Arabia. But of course, Nigeria have sent an ambassador. But I must say there is not much relationship between Nigeria and Brunei. I would have to mention that on the day that disaster took place in New York, the 9/11.
Okay, 9/11.
Yes, I was in Brunei.
Okay.
So I was far away from it. But coming back to Malaysia itself, I find it extremely impressive. They were then under one great personality, Mahathir Mohamad. Mahathir Mohamad was there, I think, about the 5th Prime Minister. They attained independence about the same time with us. And by the time I went there, Mahathir Mohamad was obviously the figure there because he was the Prime Minister. Their constitution did not give him the power to be head of state. They rotated among their kings. They turned their kings like our own emirs. They found them useful socially, coordinating things and so on, but not much of political powers. So somebody will be brought for his kingdom to the center. He'll be head of state for 5 years. He goes back. Then the next sultan will come 5 years. So, but the actual running of the country is by the prime minister. And at the time I went, it was Mahathir Mohamad. And Malaysia, it was its best in the country. It was a developing country, all right. It was a very large country. But their attainment in terms of education and the economy, it was for the first time that I found that my guard, a watchman, in my house, will come into, it will drive in his own car, come and park, and go into his hut to watch the house for the next 12 hours and go away. It was for the first time I have seen that everybody is literally guaranteed 3 square meals. Everybody. It was in Malaysia that I really saw where government activities touches the lowest of people. That's the answer. What they call minimum wage.
Right.
And they give everybody a minimum wage. He never spared people who misappropriate public funds. He never shied away from sending people to jail. But here is different. And as I have believed earlier on, this is our major problem. We have built prisons, we have built police, and so on and so forth, but we shy away from utilizing them.
Okay. At age 2, what do you want to be remembered for?
Why do we have to remember me?
As a person, you've come to this world, impacted, lives, individuals, communities.
That I have done my best, and I not should change my employers or my country. And I think this is something, if I'm lucky, people remember me for that, then I'm lucky.
We will really remember you for that, because that's a real virtue, which at least should be emulated by most people.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
Madabo.
Thank you so very much too out there. You've been part of this package this week. We thank you for being part of it, and we hope and pray that when next time we come along with another personality, you'll be part of it. This is Reflections from the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Yusuf Osman saying bye.